All right. Hello, everyone from near and far. Florida Keys. Yes, please.
Wow.
This is probably a good time of year to be in Florida, and as opposed to Indiana, where it's getting really cold, and I'm terrified of the snow. Because I'm from Texas. I'm Chauntée Pitts. I am the STEM learning coach for STEM Education Works, and this is my favorite, not all my favorite, but it is my favorite co-worker, and we're gonna co-team. So I'm gonna let her introduce herself to you guys.
Hello, everyone. My name is Madeena Coates. I am the implementation specialist where I get to go into schools and install studio spaces. So this is actually a new position. I actually just stepped away from the classroom of 17 years. And so I left teaching fourth grade, but I've taught all grades other than kindergarten, not my jam, the little ones. So
not mine either.
Welcome.
Which we love you if you do teach that.
Yes.
So we're really excited to have you guys here. We're going to talk a little bit about the microbit and some of our favorite things about it. Madeena also is, and she'll talk more about her experience and lack of experience or whatever with it. I left the classroom in January and joined this team. And my job is to show up at your schools and help you be more comfortable with your technology that you have. So hopefully we will make you feel more at home here. We are very, very, very excited to talk about this stuff and be able to share with you. But we also want you to know that you guys are a part of the equation. So please feel like you can join in, have the conversation with us, throw questions at us. We'll be monitoring the chat while we're talking. We're going to take turns. You can see that we're sharing a screen because we both want to be able to talk about our experiences together side by side. So this is an environment where we're hoping that you feel at home and ready to join in with us and just chat about some opportunities that you can use the microbit for in your classrooms or wherever you are working or using these microbits. So because I don't know your comfort level, we're going to start with a little survey. So I'm going to launch it, but the survey itself is just a poll type survey where you can tell me, is it launching on, let me know if it's not launching on y'all's screen.
Okay, why is it?
Are people seeing the poll? I'm not seeing anyone. Oh, I have to relaunch it. Hold on. Here we go. Relaunch. And it's going to just let me know how comfortable you are.
I have it hooked up to my ears. And now I can't, like.
There. Sorry about that. Okay, so I launched the poll. Hopefully it's popping up.
Yes.
On your screen.
Welcome, Melissa, and the other teacher joining.
Are you guys seeing a poll on your screen?
Gloria said yes.
Yes? Awesome. Okay. Yeah, if you don't mind answering the question on a scale of 1 to 4, how comfortable do you feel using a microbit? And that will kind of let us know the comfort level of everybody coming in.
I would say 1, not knowing.
Yes, sorry. 1, not knowing. 4,
you're feeling pretty comfortable.
You could probably take over my job today.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yes to 4. Yes, 4 is the most comfortable.
Yes.
Michelle was asking, yes.
That's fair enough. I didn't give you that information, but hopefully that helped a little bit. 4 is like, I'm ready to rock and roll with it. I'm just here to kind of observe where people are coming from. I think the poll, if it's not popped up on the screen, because I'm not seeing people's answers.
And Jerry tell us he's a 2.
Awesome. We're so glad you're here, Jerry. I haven't seen you in a minute. So welcome in. We're so excited to have you.
Glad to be here.
Are people able to answer the poll or no? Because I'm not getting any results on my screen. I think it might have missed it. Okay, so Trisha said she answered. So
Matt said 2.
Okay.
Trisha answered.
Sorry, I'm sorry, say that again. Okay, might not be at me. I just assumed.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna let it give it just a second because it's not showing up on my end, but it could just be operator error because I was trying to be all fancy and act like I knew what I was doing here, but possibly not. So if you want to put your answer in the chat, please do so. This is looking really good for me. If you're answering 1 or 2, that's making me feel a little bit more comfortable with what we're going to go over. But hopefully, regardless of your stance on it, you're going to learn a little bit more about what you can use it for in your classroom. And if you don't have any and you want to talk about getting some, we can talk about that as well. But it seems like people are answering 1s and 2s, mostly 2s, which is I was really frustrated because I wanted the poll to be through 5, because then you have that like middle ground where you don't feel so much pressure to be like, I'm not leaning towards lower end, but not higher end. But it wouldn't let me. So feel free to like let me know that you're kind of the middle if you feel that way. All right. I'm not ending the poll right now, but I'm gonna move on to the next thing. So what is a microbit? In case you don't know what a microbit is.
A pocket-sized codable computer.
A pocket-sized codable computer. So basically, if you've ever seen like anything running, whether it's you push the button on your microwave, most likely there is a microbit within there somewhere. So that's usually what is holding a code that's communicating with a hard drive or a hardware of some sort. And if you seriously have questions, comments, anything, we're watching the chat. If you're more shy and just don't want to pop up and say something, write it up. Yes. We'll answer it. Gotcha. And if you're like, don't call me out, I could also not do that as well. All right. So facts for you about the microbit. So the microbit has a USB connector that can connect to the computer. That allows for you to download your code onto the microbit. It has a touch logo. This is a version 2, by the way. So if some of you have a version 1, it might not have all these features. But for the newest version, it has a microphone indicator, a touch logo, and those little LED lights on the front, an A and B button, so you can code the A to do something, the B to do something. And then you have those pins along the bottom, so you can connect alligator clips to it, or connect the breadboard and kind of further it out. On the back, one of the new things that I love about the version 2 is that it has a speaker on the back. There's also a processor. There's a battery socket, which you don't want everybody constantly plugged up to the computer. So once they download that code to your microbit, you can unplug it, plug the battery in, and be able to run that not being connected to the computer. So if you're building something that you want to take on the go, that solves that problem for you. Anything to add?
Sounds pretty good.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome.
I do like how, especially as you know, from a classroom, how simple it is. There's not a lot of pieces or parts that you have to get prepared for all the kids. It's pretty basic and pretty simple to do so many great things in your classroom.
Yes, that's one of my favorite. And it's pretty durable too, which I'm a little clumsy. So I've dropped one many times. And it seems to have endured. So at least as far as I can see. Question from anyone? Comments? You're allowed to, but I know that, you know, we'll move, but if you have something, don't be afraid to shout it out. There's some really cool things that we found as we started to research and really look into ways that we can use these in our classroom. So there's a magic 8 ball. You can be able to detect the temperature and have kids be able to process and read Fahrenheit and Celsius. You can also do it where you can set it for dice. So you can have it where when you shake it, it rolls the dice, which you can use for, the kids can code it for classroom games or any way that you use dice in your classroom.
Math manipulatives. I mean, just another addition to those math manipulatives.
Right, which is amazing. Yeah. It looks like someone's trying to record. We are going to send you the recording of it, only because I don't want to share the opportunity for everyone to record if we're going to share it out. But you will get a recording of this video. No worries. But I also have built a bunch of things with Legos and then allowed the kids to build off of that and create like stoplights and things, which we're going to look a little bit more into in a little further down the road in this. But just a quick view of what all there is out there. Not what all there is, a small snapshot of what's out there.
And I think what's great is you and I have talked about too, you can do this with kindergartners and make it as advanced as you want to, depending on what grade you teach. So I think that's a really nice thing about microbits. It's very diverse and can be used cross-curricular.
Yes.
In what you're teaching.
And I know that, you know, it is scary when you're using when you're working with kindergartners, because technology is a little scary to bring into the younger classroom. But the cool thing is that there's an actual version of it online that's a virtual version. So you don't even have to give them the technology to start. So if you're like, oh my gosh, I can barely handle them clicking on a computer, which is typically something that happens in the classroom, So don't stress.
Start them online.
Yeah.
And then you can bust out the parts.
Yeah, exactly. Which is honestly a little bit more of a, okay, I can handle that.
Well, as far as classroom management goes, you could even train and have some classroom leaders who are pretty knowledgeable in understanding the microbit. And then you have those leaders then teach the other kiddos in a maybe small group setting so that you're not being bombarded by 25 kids.
Right, which we all know what that feels like. We definitely do understand that, even though we aren't in the classroom anymore, we live that life too. So we know. There's some ideas that we put together on things that you can use, like within, cross-curricular options. This is, again, a small snapshot of it, but there's all kinds of ways that you can bring this into the classroom.
Absolutely.
So no matter what type of teacher you are or what type of person out there you are that you're using these with kids to help engage them in technology, there's something there for you.
This could even be, honestly, too, once they feel familiarized, you're comfortable with it, you could have this be like an indoor recess activity. I know that sometimes the games get to be monotonous, and this could be just something you have out, and kids are starting to get used to it as well. So
exactly. Did someone have a question? Just don't be scared to holler at us. This is a chill environment. We want you to feel comfortable. Okay, so a couple key things that I really, really love, that if you don't know about this, I am so excited to tell you. You can log into, and of course you're welcome to do this right now if you want to see it in real time, classroom.microbit.org. First and foremost, do not even have to create a login. The cookies within your computer, whatever, if you log into your Google Chrome, it will save, and you don't have to worry about coming back and trying to re-log in and remember everything. It's there, which I love that. You're also able to save a file and then reopen it from your computer. So you don't, again, have to save all this stuff. You can do it manually if you want to. You can open your last session, so you don't have to like worry about leaving out and coming back. It's got your last session based on the cookies on your computer, which is amazing in my opinion. You can start a blank one as well, and then just start from fresh.
Really user-friendly.
Very.
And again, I'm someone that's new, still learning. So being, user-friendly is obviously very helpful in learning how to do something.
Our brains are already too full as educators. We all know that there's so much being shoved in there. So remembering passwords and logins is an absolute no for me anyways. So I have to have it all saved somewhere. So it's nice to be like, oh, one place I don't have to remember. It's very nice.
Mark it and away you go.
Yep, done. Another thing is they have an unlimited amount of resources. We're going to talk about some that are not on their actual website, but I did want you to know full lessons with lesson plans already created, information you need to teach the lesson, all on Microbit's website. So if you're like, I don't even know where to start, I actually would say just start playing for yourself on that area. But also they have tutorials throughout their website that you can play with, which we were doing last night. Like, hey, have you tried this one yet? And we were like, it kind of became a thing for us last night.
Something as simple as having your students code their spelling words, or we said using sight words. They're just really basic options all the way to very
more complex, which we're going to show you a little bit. So this is just like an overview at this moment, just to kind of show you. So something else that is my top favorite is that once you set up your classroom, so if you're going through classroom.microbit.org, it'll look something like this. Right now, I'm the only student in the room, so you won't see a list, but under the word class, where my name says, or where it says you, down below that will be a list of students. And as they're working, you can click on that student's name and be able to immediately see what their code looks like. So if they're like, I'm stuck, I don't know what I'm doing, you can click in there and be able to edit their screen right then. So you can click edit code and then go change it to what you want it to be, which is really nice. But those three little dots next to the word class, I zoomed in on it and just put it on the screen by itself. But when you click those three dots, it asks if you want to lock student screens. So I'm just going to tell you that as I taught STEM specifically, the kids would get really excited, which who doesn't want that in your classroom, right? But then when I'm trying to give directions, there's 0 people listening to me, which is about 80% of the time anyways.
Right.
So if you know they're distracted, you need them to listen. You can lock those screens and the screen goes blank, and then that way they can't do anything else, at least particularly on that.
Right.
So it's really nice.
We do have a couple of, we have a question, and then shout out to Arnell. He said he's working on CuteBot.
That's
He's about to
amazing.
bid a CuteBot, so I think that's really cool.
Please
Working
send us
with
pictures.
grade 6. Yeah, if we got pictures, that'd be fantastic.
I would love to
We
see what you
can
do.
as well. And then Trisha said, can logins be handled through Clever? Are you familiar with Clever?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, we use Clever in our district. So
So login, really, thankfully, with the, I'm gonna actually in a second go to the website to really show you. But the login for the students to get into this particular classroom, after you're done with it, you can start fresh each time, or as you save it and upload it, right? But the concept of logging in is actually just a link. So you can post it into the Clever and they can click the link and it'll go into that.
or I could even do the link to Google Classroom.
Yeah, that's where I would do it.
Yeah, Google Classroom, and you just post the link.
I think you can add the microbit website to your Clever, but I don't think the login is there because they don't really have to log in. It's just like a link or like a picture of an animal, which I'll show you in a second, and a color, and then like a season or something. And the kids can just click on which one goes with that if they're logging in without the link.
So we have another question by Denise. My students all use iPads. How does the classroom work with this platform?
Fabulous question. Which is honestly a little bit scary when I start saying USB and you're like, no, that's not one. Which a lot of people do have the iPads. I will say this, they can log in and do coding on the iPad, but when it comes to transferring that to their microbit, you will have to get a toggle, like a USB toggle to go into the lightning plug, and then once you do that, you'll be able to plug in. You can also, if you're like, no, there is an app from Apple that you can download onto your microbit. I mean, onto your iPad. That iPad. I do know what that is. You can download onto your iPad, and when the kids want to connect it, they can actually go through the connection process through a Bluetooth. As long as the battery is plugged up to the microbit, there's a process for that, but it's all through an app. So it is a little bit more complicated. There'll be a picture on the screen. They have to match the picture on the screen on their iPad with the one on the microbit. It's a little bit more tedious, but it's possible. So if you're like, I have no toggles, and we all know that Apple toggles can be a little more expensive.
Yeah.
So there is a way to do it Bluetooth. And again, it's a little more tedious. But
and Trisha just sent a link. Good
Trisha,
job. Thank you.
Oh my goodness, it's so nice to have
Very
people
well.
supporting. Thank you, because we could also have done that, but we didn't. So here we are. But we have Trisha here to help. Third question. You got it. All right. Sorry. All right, so if you struggle with that and you have more questions with that, I am going to share our email. We have a joint email. We also have a joint one that we share so that we can both, in case one of us is out, be able to cover for the other one if someone's asking questions.
So, which
I got it. I know. Thank you. I'm trying to find where it is so I can mute. Okay, perfect.
I think it's
Thank
taken
you.
care of. Yes.
Thank you. Sorry, I know we always forget that when we log in, it immediately does not mute us. Okay, before we get into Elect Freaks, I am going to go to the website for a quick second and be able to show you guys what that looks like. So give me 1 second. You're going to have to see our faces closer up. Sorry about that. But I have the website open and ready so I can show you just a little more information about it, just from the other side of things. So give me a second. I mean, COVID should have taught me a few things on how to do this, but here we are yet again, figuring it out as we talk through this. All right, here we go. I'm going to cover that up. But all right, so here's the website. This is makecode.microbit.org. This is the main website for logging in and just creating without going through the classroom aspect of it. So you'll see all these things on my screen. These are ridiculous amounts of things that I've started and they've just saved the project without me actually saving it. You see at the top, it says sign in. I'm not signed in. So that's all been just saved for itself. I mean, you can create a login, but.
I was going to stop you real quick. Arnell said he was willing to turn on his camera to show us his robot card.
Yes. Can you give me like
a
little bit, and then I'm going to refer to you. Don't leave. I'm begging you. Please don't leave, because I would love to see it. But give us a second and we're in. I would love that. Something I would love to show you though too is that there are like tons of tutorials on there of just when you're beginning coder, if you're terrified like I was the first time I started to code, it was like,
site. Yeah.
okay, you don't have to touch any technology, breathe, and just click on a tutorial. It will literally step by step, which I'm going to show you. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but I'm going to show you. So when I click that, I can either play the video and watch the lesson and be able to see how it progresses. Or for people who are beginning, block coding, great way to start. Python is script coding and JavaScript is script coding. I will say, if you're trying to teach Java or Python, they can block code to start and they can actually toggle between. So they can see what does block code look like in script code, which is really nice for those of us who are not big script coders because it's a little scary. But I'm going to go into it just for a quick second so you can see what a tutorial might look like. So when I click there, it's showing me what I'm going to create. And when I hit OK, you'll notice at the top, it says click on the basic category in the toolbox. When I click basic, it gives me the blocks I need to be successful. So you're not overwhelmed with the plethora of blocks that are out there. It's just what you need. So it's a great way to start with younger kids, especially where if there's just so much there, they're overstimulated, they're clicking and dragging on who knows what. So it really does walk you through that in a slow pace.
I do like for the younger ones too that it's color coded, so they know exactly, if they do struggle phonetically or with their fluency, they can just go to the color and match it up.
Right. So it's really nice for those people who do struggle with that, which we all have struggled with it and also have students who struggle with it. So that's just like a quick moment before I get into a little more like intense. I just wanted you to see that. I'm going to, while we're on here, I gotta move this up. Wait for a minute. You can see that. Okay. I'm gonna go to the classroom one just so that I can show you what I meant by sharing it with your students. So I'm gonna go into my last session today. There. Okay. If I show the join in details, it'll give them that login. So those people who have students that can do that, you'll notice that it's a picture with a word and then numbers so they can just follow along. So it's not too overwhelming, I feel like. But that's what it looks like. Otherwise, you can copy a link and paste it in there. So you have a couple of options. Hopefully that's a little more reassuring. And I know some of y'all who are way ahead of the game on this are like, yeah, I know all this. So I'm sorry, but I also want to make sure those people who are coming behind that have never touched these are like, okay, this is doable, which is my goal. Hopefully that's what we're hoping to do with this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, now back to where we were. All right, share. All right, elect freaks. Go back. These are extensions. So if your students are like rock stars with the base and they're ready to move on to learn about extensions, whether it's temperatures, moisture, all kinds of amazing things you can do with it. So oh my gosh, yes, I'm going to address that in just a second, Arnell, because I would love to talk about that too. With elect freaks, they're designed for children who are beginning to learn about circuitry or programming knowledge. They can still do block coding, but also take it to another level. So you don't have to go straight to script. You can kind of start a little bit less, which we're going to show you some amazing things that you can do with them. So but Arnell did say that this is similar to the Tinkercad classroom. So when we were looking at the classroom thing, yes. So if you're trying to do 3D printing with your students and teach them about 3D printing, Tinkercad, amazing. And we definitely can support you on that. So ask questions about that. If you were like, oh, tell me more, we'll send you some stuff on that because we love it. We love it. I'm geeking out a little bit, but that's just me. She's like, speak for yourself. I'm a geek. It's what it is. Okay, I did show you this before, but makecode.microbit.org is where you can go for yourself, or you can just send your kids there. If you're like, I don't want to deal with the classroom part of it, then just send them this and they can go in and mess around with the tutorials. This is a great way for them to just explore without feeling that pressure to be successful at whatever it is you're setting up for the lesson. Because sometimes they just need to learn. I know, right? I know. I feel like we'd be friends, so we'll talk after. Okay.
We have a lot of similarities.
It's true.
We talked about being science sisters.
Oh, that's true. That's true. So if you'll notice on the screen, it's circling the extension thing. So when you click on make new program or you're in the program, this is what it will look like when you're coding in Microbit. You'll notice there's this extension thing. If you're trying to use ElectFreaks, you are going to have to add an extension to your code so you can use the specific code blocks for that particular extension. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. So when you click extension, it pops up something like this. And it's like, no, immediately you want to shut it off, right? But I promise you it's not as scary as it looks. So for instance, if I was going to create a smart home with my students and teaching about smart homes, there's a whole entire ElectFreak kit that goes with like each type of thing that you want to learn about. So whether it's smart home, smart farm, which we're going to show you in a minute, then you'll type in there like smart home, which is what I did. And you'll notice that it pops up the ElectFreak smart home. If you just click that, it takes that information and puts it into your code. And then you're able to code with those blocks, which is really awesome. Side note, every time they log in to code and you're going to use those extensions, they have to add it each time because again, you're not logged in. So if you're not, you can create a login, like I said, but again, some of us are like, no, thank you. Too many logins is too much. But then once I add that, all the code or blocks that are going to need for that particular extension are all going to be added onto my coding. And it's terrifying for people who haven't done it before, but Madeena can share. Last night I was showing her lots of things and we were exploring together because some of us are on different levels. So you can
absolutely. And I think the best thing is you just have to try it. You have to be okay to make mistakes, just like we teach our kids to mess up. That's the only way you're going to figure it out. And when you do figure it out, you're like a kid where it's like an aha moment and it's so fun. You create some really cool things. I love these extensions.
Yeah, they're so fun. And it was honestly like that moment, that light bulb moment, that's what we had together as we were exploring these and learning more about it. And again, it's a trial and error situation. So yeah, it's pretty exciting. So for instance, with the Smart City Kit, and Arnell, I haven't forgotten about you because please do not leave because we're going to show off some stuff here in a minute.
It's first thing in the morning for him. So
oh, it is?
He's ready. Yeah, it's 7:27. He's ready to go.
Oh my goodness.
Arnell loves the extensions too.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Yeah.
But here's Smart City Kit. And really quickly, before we do this, let's talk about, because we all know funds are really limited, right?
Yeah.
I'm from the future. I love it. Funds are really limited.
For the money.
Oh yeah, don't y'all teach for the money? Isn't that what we all do? Yeah, that's how we are for educators, right? But the microbits themselves are like $22, $23 for one, so they're not super expensive. Plus, we have a whole entire like bundle you can get if you're wanting to do more with that. The Smart City kits or the kits, they're run from like $49 to like $71 for that. And again, we do bundles and stuff. I love the competition of where we're all from in the future. I am here for it. So for instance, with the Smart City, you can create a whole entire Smart City with this kit where you can do.
And this is just one thing we came up with. I mean,
yeah, this is one thing, but the whole entire thing can be a Smart City. Yeah. Traffic lights, all kinds of things. This one is my particular favorite because I have actually done it myself. I 3D printed a trash can and then built it, and it was really fun, and I'm going to be a geek about it because it is fun.
I like to play. That's what
yes. But you'll notice those little eyeballs. The moment that you get within a certain amount of distance, you're going to code it to do that. It will open up the trash can.
Amazing.
I mean, come on. And what kid would not love to do that? And if you have those kids who are like me that can't sit still for more than like 20 seconds, this is great because it's very, very challenging, but not so hard you can't do it. All right. And this is what the code would look like for that, just so you can see kind of what you're working with. And again, the code itself is literally the blocks that you see here are associated with that extension. But also this code right here, I found on the internet already created for you. So as a teacher, if you're like, there's no way, right? I don't know how to do this. Having the answer so you can guide your students.
Like TPT resources. I mean, we all have great ideas. We all want to, create those projects, but let's be honest, there's times we don't need to reinvent the wheel, that we might take, somebody else's resources and adapt them to our classroom and what our needs are. Same thing with microbits, that these codes have been already created for you. So you're not having to sit, hours at home or in your classroom after hours spending time coding, that they're there for you so that you can teach the point of the lesson, not necessarily the exact detailed code part of it, which I think is really neat.
And we all know that our students end up being way quicker than we are. So
using the sample code on your slideshow, Arnell said, I am preparing the hardware last night to show the kids how it's done.
Yay. Exactly what he's saying. Like I can type in smart trash can microbit code, and there was just a bunch of websites. So it wasn't hard to get. I did create it when I was building it, built it myself so I could talk about it and not sound like I didn't know what I was talking about. But really quickly, honestly, I'm going to just describe this to you just quickly so that you won't be like, what is all that? I think that it will help a little bit. So you see the top where it says forever. That means it's a continuous loop.
Yeah.
So it's not just going to run through the code one time. It's going to loop around the code as over and over and over again. Then it says ultrasonic distance, which means that we're telling it that we want it to read distance. In what type of distance do we want? Centimeters is what we picked, and we're going to use pin 1. And if you remember back when we were talking about the little pins at the bottom, the pin 1 is going to be that first pin. So we're saying that's where we're going to plug in our information into that one spot, which we'll show you a picture. Again, the distance is if it's greater than 10, less than 10, and greater than 60. I do know what I'm talking about, but it is what it is. Less than 10, greater than 60. It's going to have a smiley face on, and then it's going to go to 90-degree angle. So that means that little circular thing that's attached to the lid is going to go to a 90-degree angle. Otherwise, it's going to be shut and showing you a heart. That's literally what this code is doing. Hopefully, if you haven't seen a code like this and you're like, immediately know, like I was when I first saw it, it's scary.
Can you let's put them in the chat, the resources for microbit coding.
Yes.
Which I think would be good, because here we had Katrina ask about resources for purchasing for microbits, and are they the same as Makey? That was Katrina's question.
Have you ever used a Makey?
I've not used Makey.
I've heard of them, but I haven't personally sat down with it. And I think that someone donated one to my classroom, and I didn't get to it because we all know that if we're not trained in something, we might not want to use it.
Yeah. We have here Melissa. I also teach 3D printing, Tinkercad. We explored the classroom, but circuits have really piqued my interest, I think this is an amazing starting point. And there's so many things you can do. These to me seem more advanced for kiddos, but also if you have those high ability kids at the younger ages, this is a great kit to share with those kids, do a small group setting and have those high ability kids and differentiate and just let them go off on their own while you're doing, things at a more lower level, because we all know differentiation can be hard too when you're trying to do the same thing,
and they're done, right?
Yeah.
The kid that's always fast is done, and then they're like, now what? Oh, yeah.
So
sorry, her battery's about to die.
Okay, so we'll get you, definitely put in the chat then.
It looks like our coworker Brittany sent you something, because we also have some coworkers that are reading the chat and helping us out while we're doing this. But again, I am going to share our email address with y'all. Reach out. I promise you, we're here to help. That's what we love. We'll give you all the slides. We'll give you all of the webinar information. That's what we do this for, is because we want to connect with you guys and support. So there's also one that is for agriculture, which we're really, really, really working on that right now as a team, because we realize agriculture is so important.
Absolutely.
And it really does integrate within the STEM world.
Well, let's be honest, we live in Indiana, so we really don't have much else. No.
Right. Agriculture is Indiana.
Yeah.
Very cool. So it's really neat to see that we can integrate plants and the concept that farmers use within this, which we're working on a whole entire unit for this. So stay tuned.
Fascinating.
It is. But this is the smart I know that this is a lot. But what we do, this is a whole entire smartphone farm, but we can actually take it and break it into small sections and then combine to a long one at the end. Oh, they have a guitar one? Please send us pictures.
Yeah.
Melissa, send us pictures.
And then we need to get to some more.
Oh, go ahead.
It's okay, but a good question. Can you tell me who or what funding has anyone applied for purchasing these units for the classroom? So these are great questions.
I'm sorry, I gotta see the name so I can know. Miss Dr. Taylor, where are you from? First off. And secondly, our team, we have behind the scenes people working on constantly checking for grants, seeing if the links are active, and if they are active, what kind of grants there are out there. So we do have that. So just reach out because we have actually it's on our website, I believe, but I'll double check that. Oh, thank you for coming.
Yes, thanks, Gloria.
We love that you came. Tennessee. Oh my goodness, I was just there not too long ago.
That's great.
And I actually did this plant pal with my coworker, Dr. Jake, who's amazing. But he helps to create this. We have a lesson that we're working on specifically for this. But just so you know, this pal plant or this plant pal, it has a way to read motion. So when you walk up close enough to the plant, it's going to put a little heart on the screen to be like, oh my gosh, you're paying attention.
See, this is where I geek out. It's just so cute.
It'll smile when it's like, I have enough water, I'm good to go. And then it will have a sad face when it's like, I need water.
It's just mind-blowing that we can teach our kids about agriculture, plant life, and then, you know, end it with something as cute as that.
Exactly. Yeah. And the screen itself has a temperature, a moisture, temperature level, moisture level, and water level. So kids can do data control and be able to work with that. Thank you, Damiana and Christine. They're working in the chat for us. Thank goodness y'all are here. So just so you know, that plant pal thing, we're really working on. Oh my gosh, for some reason I can't say it. We're really working on that and trying to make it come together so that we can actually get this out to people to use, because we're really excited about making that a lesson. We also have one that's actually created. Yes, no problem, Dr. Taylor. We actually have a lesson already created called Clubhouse. It's Build Smart Clubhouse. I'm just showing you a little sample on the screen. The students will learn about framework. They'll learn about scaling. They'll learn about measurements, and they're going to build. If you look on the screen, you'll see it, a little clubhouse. That they get to bring it to life, which is amazing. There's a little super glue involved, but I learned quickly how important it is to make sure that you don't put your hands together with super glue. Just, you know, I also know that that's going to be something that we learn in the classroom.
Well, and again, this is a little bit more advanced, but my good friend taught 5th grade high ability. Her kids rocked it. And then they even went further and built the roof for it and then the door for it. And the kids were so excited. They took ownership of it. It was a really neat project for her and her kiddos. Yeah.
I love that. I geeked out really hard when I did this for the first time, but the fan on there is set like a smart fan so that when it gets hot enough, the fan it starts to go. So once the room starts to get hot, the fan knows it's time to turn on. We also have it where you code a doorbell so that they'll be able to push the doorbell and the doorbell reacts. It also has a light that as it starts to get dark, the light comes on. But throughout this whole entire thing, there's science and math concepts while they're engineering, and they're also doing technology that are engraved into it so that the kids are learning stuff they already have to learn, but getting to build at the same time, which is more memorable in the long run, as we all know. So it's really fun. If you want more info on that, please reach out because we'll send you some information on that. These are our 2 kits so far that we've taken in written curriculum for, the EV microcart one and the Clubhouse. The Clubhouse is more geared towards middle school, but you can do advanced, like she was saying, in 5th grade. The EV microcart, which they build a whole entire car, as you can see, there's a lot more involved breadboard where they have to do a lot more circuitry for it. That's more, honestly, like advanced middle school or high school curriculum.
And it's even neat too, like you can, I love thinking about, for instance, in Indiana here, we have the Indy 500, you know, just so many cool things to relate these projects to, and the kids have fun, you know, working on these with those.
Definitely, which is really awesome. We have one that's a flash course, which is like a shorter version. And then we have a longer course, which we're really excited about. I feel like Ronell said something way earlier. I don't want to address in a minute, but I haven't forgotten about it. I saw it and I didn't get to read it yet. But we have some curriculum that we write because we obviously, like we were saying, we're both teachers. The director of curriculum that we work with also was an educator. And so we really try to make it applicable and like
Yeah.
engaging and exciting because we were also teachers, so we know what it feels like.
We've been in the trenches.
Yes.
Ronell was mentioning that you can check out Kai's Clan, which also has a microbit extension.
Kai's Clan is up and coming, you guys, and if you haven't looked at it, please go look at it, because when I tell you I geek out on this stuff, that one I had to lock myself away because I was like, if anybody bothers me,
Didn't eat for 3 days.
it felt like that for sure. Anyways, okay, so that was a lot, and you have to hear our voices, specifically mine.
Yeah,
Oh,
let's meet the kids. It's the kids. We're gonna help you. And Katrina, thank you for all the resources and examples. Looking forward to trying this.
Please, guys, and I mean that when I say please share pictures. We're working on a site where we can communicate with each other and share ideas with each other, so teachers can come together and share things that they're working on in their studio.
Because we